Hey, what's up everybody? Brent Allen here, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you, this is going to be going over a recent FWC Commission meeting. Now this particular video was linked to me by a buddy of mine. I've only seen little bits of it, I haven't watched it all the way through, but it was strongly recommended that I watch it because of my strong distaste for spraying for invasive plants in our waterways here in Florida. So this video, I want to give credit to Mike Nepper. I believe this is the gentleman that kind of clipped it all together as far as the hot takes regarding invasive plant management with the FWC. You can watch the entire commission meeting. I believe this was a span of 2 days. And this was down in St. Pete at the Hilton, July 19th and 20th. But, at any rate, I just want to share this with you guys and kind of go over this because this is really something that I feel very strongly about, and I feel like most fishermen that I run into and talk to feel the same way, because it's blatantly obvious that the spraying is killing our fisheries, and you know, it's all about money. You know, we all know this. It's all about money. So anyway, I digress. I don't want to get too far involved with this, but let's go ahead and dive into this video and see what it's all about. All right, let's get into this. I know I'm gonna need a freaking beer.
And are you providing Roger with a list of updated equipment needs?
We have a very large list, Mr. Chairman.
All right, good. Well, no, that's, you know, that's our forte right now. We've been batting 1,000. We want to help, we want to keep the agency on the cutting edge and extremely relevant. We're a leader throughout the states, and we want to remain that way. So, and I think, you know, you have to have the right tools to do the job. So we want to, and I send this not only to you all making this, to the whole FWC family who's watching the meeting. If you have a request for certain equipment or something, we need to know. Bring it up to us. So work it through your leadership and then make sure it gets to Roger and it gets to us. We want to help advocate for it. It only makes the job easier, and if we can, we often say, and we look at, a lot of other states look at FWC as a leader, and they watch what we're doing. They want to emulate us, and so we want to lead, and we want others to follow our lead. So.
Well, I hope they don't plan on emulating our invasive plant management, because it freaking sucks.
Okay, so.
Well, there you go.
Fisherman, actually a third generation commercial fisherman. Probably 60 members of my family through 3 generations have been commercial fishermen in freshwater lakes. We're seeing a big decline in our freshwater lakes, and it's from, as one of the ladies said earlier, the ring of death. I know y'all know what that is. It's the circle around the lakes that's dying, and it's due to the pesticide spray. Now, speaking of our fishery, we are losing our fishery a little at a time every year, y'all. But I'm here fighting for what I've grown up doing. And I'm not able to do it anymore. You're adding nutrients to the nutrients. You're killing grass that's turning into compost, that's turning into more nutrients. How are you taking away? You're not. It's getting worse. And y'all need to listen to red whistle flag blowers like me. I don't have a piece of paper here in front of me to talk to y'all about what I'm thinking about, because it's right here. I live it every day. I got blisters on my legs right now from working last week in the spray in a section of the lake that I was doing good in. But I can't catch any fish in it no more because y'all sprayed it. The fishery's dying. Y'all have any questions for me?
Can I just say, I mean, I feel this guy 100%, but I love his frickin' shirt. I love it. I love that he wore this.
We hear you.
It's crickets.
We hear you. We hear you.
Please listen, and please buy some harvesters. Let us try it. Put it on Loosa Lake. I'll run it. I tell you that. I'm dead serious. You laughing? Buy us a piece of equipment.
I know you'd run
Buy
it.
me a piece of equipment. I will run it on Lot Loosa Lake, and I will make y'all a believer in what I'm trying to tell you.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you so much.
I'd like.
Yeah, that guy was pissed, and rightly so. I haven't fished Loch Loosa ever. I keep every year during spec season. I keep saying I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I just have not had the privilege, but it's supposed to be one of the most jam-up lakes in Florida for specs. Not so much for size, but for quantity, from what I understand. But I assume that guy was talking about Loch Loosa in particular with the Ring of Death. I'm like, why? I don't. This is the thing that drives me nuts. Like, we have harvesters in certain lakes, and I know they still spray certain lakes that still have the harvesters. And, you know, I get it. It's more money to run them, and it's a lot more maintenance to keep up on everything, because the way it chops things up and a lot of it still sinks to the bottom. But, I mean, shit. I mean, we're still doing better than spraying this poison all over the water. I mean, if you guys have watched any of my videos in the past, I mean, there are some videos where I'm just pulling up fish after fish with freaking sores and just all sorts of nasty, just open wounds on them and crap. And it's always not long after they spray. I mean, I'm not saying it's 100% that's what's causing it, but I don't know. It just, every time I go fishing after they spray, it's never as good as it was before. So
I'd like to pass on a little bit of the peer review from the state of Louisiana. When I asked Louisiana Inland Fisheries Aquatic Plant Director Dr. Daniel Hill if Louisiana uses Aquathol K, which is y'all's most popular one, he replied, no, it's too hot of a chemical to use around our fish and wildlife, and it's too expensive. I brought that up in Jacksonville. And I said, well, what do you spray hydrilla with? He says, his reply is, we don't spray hydrilla because ducks eat it and fish live in it. He went on to say, we manage hydrilla rather than try to eliminate it with biochemical insect control and lake drawdowns. He went on to tell me that the results were nothing short of wonderful. Talking with Texas Inland Fisheries on their aquatic plant in the Rio Grande River, they told me that they do not use Aquathol K in the Rio Grande River for hydrilla. They tell me that this chemical, as well as others, because they fear of harming illegal immigrants coming across the river. Wrap your head around this. We have off-the-chain Aquathol K, millions upon millions of gallons, and these two states worry about their fish, wildlife, and illegal immigrants being harmed. Maybe you guys could learn from Louisiana and Texas.
Aquatic plants are life, whether they're non-native or native, and I think sometimes we lose focus with conflating conservation with eradication. And when even a non-native plant is providing habitat, that plant has value. I also travel to Louisiana frequently. Non-native plants are managed a lot different there. I've seen some of the highest biodiversity in areas that are choked with water hyacinth, where every step you take, there's a frog hopping, there's a snake slithering off, there's something alive. And unfortunately, I just don't see that much in Florida anymore. And we saw a big drop-off starting from the late 90s and into the early 2000s, and that just so happens to be when a lot of the herbicide spraying was ramped up. So record densities of amphibians were documented in a study in the 70s at Rainy Slough by Stephen Godley, a herpetologist. Record densities of amphibians, aquatic salamanders, aquatic snakes in water hyacinth roots, in water lettuce roots. And now the salamanders are all gone. That area is managed. the hyacinth is sprayed, and there's just about no salamanders left. And we're seeing this all over the state. So I think that we need to continue to improve our management and try to look at other management techniques rather than chemical spraying. Thank you.
You know, on the topic of the water hyacinth and water lettuce, you know, last year, early in the season, like September, October, especially in the Withlacoochee River, I was freaking killing the specks. I mean, just killing them. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. Like, personally, I love fishing in water hyacinth and water lettuce even, just because it's not like dollar weed, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to drop a jig in this stuff, water hyacinth, it's so easy just to kind of pull open a hole without having to like grab a huge chunk of like dollar weed and really rake it out. I mean, you can just, half the time you can really just drop a jig through it. If you can just find like where they're connected here and there, you can just drop a jig right in there. And there's not a lot of roots underneath it, so you never really have to worry about getting hung up so bad as like dollar weed and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I really like fishing that stuff, and I've seen it to where it gets super choked up in certain areas, but it's really not hard to buzz through. Not saying that it doesn't need to be harvested, but and I read somewhere too that water hyacinth and stuff, that's really good food for cattle. Don't quote me on that, but I thought I read that somewhere. So I mean, there you go. That's something that could be harvested and repurposed in some fashion, instead of just spraying it and letting it fall to the bottom and then cause more problems. So I mean, I get it, water hyacinth isn't a native aquatic vegetation, but it's jam up the fishing. I gotta admit, I don't know if anyone feels the same way, if they're jigging for specks and stuff, but it's one of my favorite kinds of vegetation to fish in if I have the opportunity. 9 times out of 10, anytime I find any of that stuff, there's fish underneath it. So
Okay, well, you know, while the last two speakers were talking, I went online, and the Aquatic Plant Control in Louisiana, and there's 3 ways.
Is this guy's name really rude, Rodney, or is he just
They
making
control
fun?
the aquatic plant there, and one is chemicals. It's EPA-approved aquatic herbicides. Public waters throughout the state are controlled with nuisance aquatic weeds, mechanical and biological. So, I mean, I appreciate people giving us testimony, but I would like for you not to confuse things, if you don't mind.
What's being confused? I don't understand.
Yesterday afternoon I spoke, and I would like to clear up a misunderstanding that Mr. Barreto had. I spoke about Louisiana, and I touted their use of biocontrol insects to kill aquatic plant, and also their lake drawdown methods. They rely heavily on those 2 things. Well, Mr. Barreto commented that he went on later after I spoke and came up and said that Louisiana does use chemical, and he goes on to say that they do use aquatic pesticides. Well, there's a little bit to that that's wrong. They do less than $1.5 million a year aquatic pesticides. That most of that's for giant salvini, which covers the whole state and grows through the cold weather. They also use insects on that. But the state of Florida, well, let's go with IPM. IPM is $23 million a year on aquatic pesticides. Habitat and species conservation, I don't have the figures on that, but it's high up there. It's $33 million for South Florida water management. I don't have the figures on St. John's or Southwest Florida, but it's it's up there. So we could easily say that tens of millions of dollars are being used on to treat aquatic plants here in Florida. We're the #1 customer in the world for aquatic pesticides by far. And even China does not even put this Aquathol K that they sell y'all. And check that out. I know you have a look on your face, kind of like you're not.
Aquathol K, I believe is what he said. I'll have to look that up. I have to admit, I'm not familiar with the specific pesticides or herbicides that they use to spray the stuff in our waterways. But I assume this is accurate what this guy is saying. It's scary.
Not believing me. Check that out, or I'll send you over some of the info on that. It would be no exaggeration that your own invasive plant management sector kills more wildlife in a single day, with helicopters raining poison in the inner marshes and fleets of airboats statewide dousing down everything green than poachers could dream of killing in decades.
Frank, I'm here to tell you, y'all are missing out on a huge money-making opportunity. There are documents in your file that show how you can make money off hyacinths by using it as biofuel, fertilizer, of course, feed for cows, for manatees. And
I'm not crazy.
Hyacinths and water lettuce absorb the pollutants from the water. So we need this more than ever. Now that Florida is #1 in the country for most polluted lakes and surface waters, we need those aquatic plants to be absorbing the nutrients and the pollutants. So there are ways in.
So that makes me kind of wonder. So if hyacinths and water lettuce help absorb pollutants, is then it not safe for cattle to eat? I'd like to know the science behind that. I mean, I'd still think it's good, if it can be repurposed, but I'd be kind of concerned for the cattle that are ingesting that if it's unsafe. But I don't know. That's probably more of a deep dive situation there.
In your file to make money off harvesting hyacinths instead of spraying it with poisons.
Has any employee or commissioner ever observed a public video that showed a possible threatened or protected water bird being sprayed with poisons? If there is a video of above, would you investigate?
Oh shit!
As far as I can tell, your FWC poison spraying program sounds like the Wild Wild West. There has been thousands of violations of federal law when using these products in a manner consistent with its labeling. Commissioners, when are you going to start following the science of the poisons and quit killing Florida's wildlife? For the love of money. If you don't monitor, given time, we will. I would like to congratulate the FWC Commissioners on becoming #1 in the nation. Yes, Florida is #1 in having the most polluted lakes. It's your fault, not my fault. I'm a victim. I can't even duck hunt on Lake Kissimmee anymore because it's polluted. And now these poisons have reached the brackish and the saltwater coastlines. Due to Irma and Ian, just like I warned you in Gainesville, Irma did the same thing to Lake Kissimmee shoreline. Due to Irma and Ian, be proud of the dead 6,000 acres that Tampa Bay now lays dormant, and the 2,000 manatees that are dead or starving. It's your fault. The commissioner's fault. It's not my fault. You commissioners need to resign.
Damn.
You commissioners need to resign. You commissioners need to resign.
That guy is pissed. Man.
My dad served in the military. He died because of the military. My uncle served 3 tours, Vietnam. Gentleman talked about Agent Orange. My uncle died a horrid death from Agent Orange. I just wanted to say that. How'd we get here? I was here yesterday. There was a line full of law enforcement. So what are you trying to do, intimidate? Are you trying to threaten us? Are you trying to put us in a position where we don't want to get up here and talk to y'all? Y'all work for us. I'm not understanding, you know, people come to me, what can we do, what can we do, what can we do? Well, oh, sorry, thank you. Amazing how we have to come to a meeting and feel under duress of threat. When I considered joining the Florida Game and Freshwater Fish Commission back in the late 80s, I'm glad I don't work for y'all.
Believe it or not, once upon a time, I was going to apply to be a Leo with FWC. However, I decided to pursue my current career in IT instead. I'm kind of glad I did as well. There's still times I wish I had done it, but I don't believe she mentioned something before about FWC Leos trying to intimidate. I don't believe that that's something that is accurate. A lot of these guys are just doing their job. I got a lot of respect for FWC Leos because, I mean, they put themselves at a lot of risk, even more so than standard law enforcement, I think. And a lot of them don't get paid very well. That was another thing that kind of drove me away from really pursuing that career. Yeah, it's not everyone in the FWC's fault that this kind of thing is happening. This is, higher up in the food chain, I think. Because, again, I think it's all money related. So, I feel like placing blame where it should be placed. But I don't think that lies with the actual law enforcement officers.
Instead, you see this? This is called the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. When people get up here and speak, they should serve it up in an affidavit. They're doing your research, your job, just over broke. When any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people, we the people, to alter or to abolish it. I heard the call for resignations with all the research that's come over, all the years. I'm Florida Pesticides. I've been in this since before 2010, when they tried to spray me, trying to kill me, or run me off the road, or send me death threats. We the people. The Declaration of Independence starts out with those 3 words, we the people. Not we the government, Mother May I, we the people. I call for y'all's resignation. They have brought all. I motion to call for your resignation. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It is said, it is done.
People. The by the people motion today goes.
That was a little cringy.
Like this. From this day forward, the Commission shall not approve any more spraying and will implement new and improved pest management practices under the direction and overseen by the people. And there will be no more spraying, discharging, releasing, disposing of any pesticides, herbicides, algicides, etc. into by the people's water, aka state-owned waters, or any other waters. And the better option of mechanical harvesting shall be utilized from this day forward. Do I have a second?
A second. Third.
We the people have a second, a third. We have hundreds of people that have asked you, begged you to quit spraying.
Amen.
So, we have the second. Do we need to discuss this motion? Y'all have been begged for a decade now to stop the spraying. As they've said, we've become #1 in the most impaired waters. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself.
Resign now.
Have you read the MSDS sheets? The MSDS sheets say do not allow to enter any waterways. You wonder why cancer rates are through the roof? Disease, illness, it's everywhere. I know too many people that have died from cancer. I ask for you to resign, vacate the seat.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay, folks, before we go forward, we really want to be able to hear each and every person in an orderly fashion, so each person has their time to speak at the podium. What we're not going to have is people shouting out from the audience. You've had your time, or you can have your time, but we're not going to have people shutting out the audience. If you continue to be disruptive in that manner, I'm going to ask the law enforcement officers to take you out of the room.
I don't think they were being that disruptive. No, that's it. So, okay. Wow. Yeah,
And are you?
I don't know. I don't know the answer, guys. I mean, I feel for these people. I really do. Because, you know, this is something I feel like a lot of people have been fighting. I mean, for a long time, and nothing's been done. And it's hard to say if anything will ever be done, but the best thing that we can do is keep fighting it like these people are. I personally need to pay more attention to when they hold these meetings. I don't know if it's just like an open forum or what the case is, or if there's like specific times to discuss invasive plant management. But man, I just wish they'd invest money in better quality harvesters. And then, you know, that's more jobs for people to drive these things and help with the plant management. I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, I know it's about money, but it's frustrating. So, anyway, that was interesting. So, I hope you guys were enlightened by this video. I can't say that I enjoyed it. I did kind of enjoy seeing these commissioners get reamed a bit because, you know, they deserve it. So yeah, if anyone out there has any other videos similar like this where the topic of invasive plant management within Florida waterways is discussed, or anything interesting that you feel like you'd like to share with me and I can share with my audience, send it to me. Send me my emails in the description below. Just shoot me a link. You know, it's hard to really put a lot of credit behind everything that these people are saying because personally, I don't know all the facts. I just don't. I mean, I just know what I've experienced as a avid fisherman in our lakes and rivers where we're at. And I personally notice a tremendous difference when they spray. So, and as I said before, I am not comfortable keeping fish after they spray. I mean, I'll wait a month or two to even keep a fish. If I know that they've sprayed a particular area, I know they claim it's safe, but who the hell wants to eat a fish after they've sprayed poison as thick as they normally spray? I mean, I've sat there and watched these guys in these airboats unload that crap. And I've had a buddy of mine that used to do it, and he has told me straight up that, you know, these companies that are contracted to do it, if they don't use all of the chemical by the end of their session or their day, they have to dump it into the water I'm not saying they all do this, but he said the company that he was contracted with, they will just dump the remaining amount in the water because they paid for it. So they have to do something with it. So they just dump it all in the water. And that should make everyone sick. It's just freaking disgusting. So, anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. I'm not really going to go too much further than this. So anyway, if you guys, spark up a discussion on this in the comments. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that spraying is the way to go? Do you believe harvesters are the way to go? I mean, there's a lot of cool looking harvesters out there if you do some looking on Google. So I think there could be a lot more done with mechanical harvesters. It could create a lot more jobs. And if a lot of the plants that we're bringing up can be reused for biofuel or for food for cattle, hey, that's just all the better. So anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. I suppose I'll be seeing you pretty soon. I will be going back down to Okeechobee to shoot a couple of cool videos. And I'm going to be doing some cichlid fishing. And another topic for a video I won't share just yet, but I think you guys are going to dig it. It'll be pretty cool. Doing some stuff with my dad. But spec season's coming up. I haven't been doing much fishing because it's been so blistering hot. So brutal. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's brutal. But yeah. So anyway, I will be seeing you guys soon. And again, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing if you have not. Share this video if you think it is worth sharing, because we need to get the word out. We need to start protecting our waterways around here, because I can't imagine a day where fishing is just terrible everywhere. And I feel like it's coming if something's not done soon. So anyway, cheers, guys.